At the very beginning, she said, you can't explain everything that is, but I do know this. I was actually, at the time I did that the first time that you just saw, I went back there and went, what have I done? What came over me? Who am I? That man, she continued. I wish he'd lose everything. Sally Field's sharp declaration in her recent exclusive interview with Vanity Fair has sent shockwaves across Hollywood. At 78, the two-time Oscar-winning star has finally broken her silence, publicly naming the men she said she despised the most in her life. In the hour-long interview, Sally recounted that one longtime lover once forbade her from walking the red carpet out of jealousy for her fame. Another humiliated her in public, viewing women as mere decorations for his ego. But most painfully, she revealed that the man society once praised as the ideal stepfather was the very one who had acted improperly during her childhood. Who were the men Sally Field named? And who among them made her so resentful that she decided to speak out after half a century of silence? The first name was Burt Reynolds, the ex-lover who ended a 5-year relationship because he didn't want her to attend the awards. In the mid-1970s, when America was still captivated by action comedies, Burt Reynolds was the most sought-after name in the business. He topped box office charts for years, appeared on every magazine cover from People to Esquire, and was hailed as the man's man of the decade. Sally Field, at that time, was just a TV actress struggling to shed her sweet image from The Flying Nun. The two, seemingly from different worlds, met on the set of Smokey and the Bandit in 1977 in Georgia. A Vanity Fair journalist later wrote that when Reynolds walked onto the set, the entire crew fell silent. He was confident, humorous, and always knew how to make people laugh. Field was shy, but her sharp eyes and quick wit caught his attention. They began dating just weeks into filming and soon became Hollywood's golden couple. However, as Sally later wrote in her memoir In Pieces, the romance was far from the fairy tale the press portrayed. When we met, his stardom became a way for him to control me, she wrote. Reynolds was already at the peak of his fame, powerful, proud, and self-assured, while Sally was just beginning her journey to prove she could be a serious actress, not just the cute face from television. According to Nicki Swift, Reynolds once objected when she accepted the lead role in Norma Rae, a socially charged film with a strong, complex female character. He reportedly said, "No woman of mine plays a role like that." The words shocked and hurt Sally, who believed art had nothing to do with gender or hierarchy. That moment marked the start of their rift. At parties and events, Reynolds wanted Sally to maintain a sweet and gentle image, while she longed to talk about cinema and acting. As Decider reported, Field's close friends said Reynolds often disliked her speaking privately with other men. Once, when she was chatting with a colleague, he placed his hand on her face and whispered, "That's enough." The more successful she became, the deeper the conflict grew. When Norma Rae premiered in 1979, it was acclaimed by critics, and Sally earned an Oscar nomination. But instead of congratulating her, Burt stayed silent. Journalist Anna Navarro later revealed on The View that Reynolds told friends he didn't want to attend the ceremony because it didn't feel right seeing someone else celebrated more than him. On the evening of April 14, 1980, at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in Los Angeles, Sally Field stood on stage in tears as she received her Oscar to a standing ovation. Outside, the media buzzed over Burt Reynolds' absence. A Variety reporter described that moment as the night Sally stepped out from under the shadow of one of Hollywood's most powerful men. After the awards, their relationship couldn't be saved. Reynolds' directing career declined while Sally rose to A-list stardom. In a 1981 interview, she said softly, "He wasn't a bad person, just not right for me." When In Pieces was released in 2018, only 4 days before Reynolds passed away, Sally told The Guardian she was terrified at the thought of him reading it, admitting, "The truth can hurt, but I couldn't lie about my life." After escaping that heavy, controlling relationship, Sally thought she had learned to keep her distance from powerful men. But not long after, she found herself in an even more tense relationship, this time on set with a famously temperamental co-star, Tommy Lee Jones. The co-star she hated the most. In 1980, director Martin Ritt, who had helped Sally Field win her Oscar for Norma Rae, decided to cast her again in his new film Backroads. The movie, filmed in Alabama and Louisiana, told the story of two lost, struggling people running away from their poor choices. Sally's co-star was Tommy Lee Jones, then gaining praise for his role in Coal Miner's Daughter. At first, it seemed like a dream pairing. Jones with his rugged masculinity and Sally with her emotional depth. But just a few days into filming, rumors of conflict between them began to circulate. According to Wikipedia, director Ritt had to halt production several times because the two leads refused to speak to each other when the cameras weren't rolling. Tommy Lee Jones was known for being extremely perfectionist, quiet, strict, and impatient. A crew member told Variety that Jones would arrive early, read through the script, and often rewrite his own lines, and sometimes Sally's. When she objected, he stayed silent but slammed the script onto the table. Sally herself was not one to tolerate being pushed around. On The Ellen Show in 2013, she admitted that Jones made her exhausted every single day on set. She recalled a heated scene between their characters. "We didn't have to act. The emotion was real." Director Martin Ritt later told The Hollywood Reporter that although their clashes drained the crew, they made the film scenes intense and alive. Indeed, the New York Times wrote, "Between Jones and Field, there's a raw, undeniable energy that can't be faked." But behind the praise was a darker atmosphere. Jones was often described as too harsh and even domineering toward his female co-stars. One crew member revealed that after one scene, Sally burst into tears while Jones walked off without saying a word. Their relationship was described as colder than the editing room. When the film was released in March 1981, it earned only about $11.8 million, less than expected. Reviews didn't just mention the box office numbers, but highlighted the clear lack of harmony between the two stars. Variety wrote, "Their tension is palpable both on-screen and off." Years later, when Jones was already the star of The Fugitive and Sally had won her second Oscar for Places in the Heart, the two accidentally met again at an event in Beverly Hills. Jones approached, shook her hand, and apologized. Sally recalled, "I looked at him, smiled, thanked him, and walked away." To the public, that moment seemed like closure, but for Sally, it was a memory that would never bring joy. In a 2012 Variety interview, when asked about Tommy Lee Jones, Sally simply said, "He's incredibly talented, but sometimes talent comes with coldness." Backroads ends with two people walking away from each other, and ironically, that's exactly what happened in real life. After that experience, Sally wrote in her memoir that she knew she would never again allow herself to be disrespected on set.